Welcome to the Prep Football Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Jeff Linder. Well, not technically, not literally alongside, virtually alongside Jeff Linder today as we delve into the happenings of last week's Prep Football slate and the games coming up this weekend for week 2 across the state of Iowa. Lindy, how you doing? And how was last Friday for the kickoff for teams across the state?
Yeah, it was good. It was a warm night, but I expect that on week 1. And I had Cedar Rapids Kennedy and Iowa City West, a really good competitive game for 27-20. Not a lot of offense, really. I think it was 233 yards for Kennedy and about 180 for Iowa City West. Really good defensive game. Kennedy had 2 really critical interceptions. One early was for a touchdown. Another came late and sealed the game. But I think Kennedy found itself a running back in Jason Williams. 33 carries, 179 yards, if I recall. And they play good defense. And I'll tell you, how often do you see a 5A school that has a freshman quarterback? And that's what Iowa City West has in Jack Wallace.
Wow. Yeah, not very often. I mean, it was a big deal when Marcus Morgan as a sophomore stepped in.
Right.
Remember how that was. And, of course, now, kids, it seems like with everything that's available to them now, they're more ready than ever to step into the varsity level in multiple sports. Because of all that experience. But yeah, that is very rare at the large school level to have somebody that young being able to man the reins a little bit, and not to mention do it against a really tough schedule.
Yeah, and he had his moments. He completed about half his passes and threw for 100, just over 100. And I'll tell you, he sure doesn't look like a freshman. He's about 6'1", 6'2". I think they've got him listed at 205. So that's a seasoned freshman. I mean, he's a big kid for what I would guess a 14, 15-year-old kid.
One other thing I want to touch on about your game, something you were able to do at halftime. One of the things that we really take a lot of pride in. And you do a lot of work to maintain, to carry out each year. Our Gazette Athletes of the Year, Marcus Morgan and Rohair. Aurora. That's right. I kept thinking Andrea, and I knew that wasn't right. So, but you were able to award.
Thinking Amanda. So yeah, it's Aurora, and she's the first swimmer that has won Athlete of the Year, and what a time to have a first one. She's going to Stanford. She was at the Olympic trials, so obviously a very, very talented kid, and most of us know everything that Marcus Morgan has accomplished on the field and on the court and on the track and all that baseball field, and for Iowa City West as well. But it was a neat night, and it was kind of neat to be able to present both of those at once.
Yeah, pretty cool situation there. Kennedy has Bettendorf this week. Bettendorf lost. I don't know if it was really. Yeah, I'd say it's at least a low-scoring affair with Urbandale. Kennedy's seem to be kind of right where they were last year again.
Yeah, I think so. I think they put themselves in a pretty good spot, and I sure wouldn't be surprised if they won another one this week. I was looking through Varsity Bound, and Bettendorf had 44 yards of offense against Urbandale last week.
Wow,
that's you never see that.
No, usually they have more than that with their rushing attack that they put together on a regular basis. So. Yeah, might not be the same Bettendorf team, I suppose.
Yeah, And you had Xavier in Western Dubuque last week, right? What'd you learn from Saints Field? It looks like Xavier's rebuilding or reloading or whatever you want to call it might not be as steep as we thought.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's one of those things where, you kind of have an idea of what's in front of you, given the programs that are on the field. And with Western Dubuque and Xavier, you can pretty much bet it's going to be, like a bare knuckle brawl a little bit. And that's what it seemed like early on. Both teams really stout defensively. Western Dubuque strong up front. Xavier's defense, just kind of the same type of product year in and year out. But the real question, I thought, were playmakers for Xavier. You lost Jackson Rexroth from last year. Jack Lux is gone. Who are they going to have step in? I think Alex Neal played very well, threw for over 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. But the one that really stood out, I think, was Aiden McDermott. He just made it seem like whenever they needed a big gain or a big play, he was the one that was dialed up, and he came through most of the time. Had well over 100 yards receiving. I think they added another 50 or 60 rushing as well, because they went almost a little bit of a jet sweep with something that's rare I don't ever remember Xavier really running plays like that. But they were doing whatever they could to get McDermott the ball. And Michael Cunningham was a decent rushing for over 100 yards as well for Xavier. But the key thing was the way they moved the ball, and they were able to produce time-consuming scoring drives late in the game. It was tied 14-14 in the fourth. Xavier went 90 yards on, I think, 9 plays. It ended up with a score, and then they got a 3-and-out, and then they went another 70 yards and melted 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes off the clock. That says a lot, just about the poise and maturity, I guess, maybe, or what have you, with especially with the offensive line, doing that against like Western Dubuque. So that really stood out. Also, Western Dubuque's going to be fine. They're really stout defensively, like I said. Offensively, Andrew Oltmans is going to be a tough wideout. They've had some good receivers with Birds and some of them. The Solar, I think, also was a good receiver. Western Dubuque's going to have some playmakers like that again.
Number 2.
All right, JJ, thanks for joining us.
I apologize.
No problem. JJ was at Kingston last week for Wash and Jeff, and imagine you have a lot to say about that one.
Not really. It was not pretty. I don't think you'll find anyone who, even on the Washington side, who thought it was. 79-0 speaks for itself. We all had a lot of questions going in, obviously, guys, about how Jefferson might not even have be able to field a varsity team, and the Jayhawks have decided to give it a go, and 21 kids, juniors and seniors, dressed out for Friday night's game. So in Washington, at least according to our rankings, is a good football team. So it all added up into what it was. And, we'll see how things move forward. Jefferson wise, hopefully they'll continue to stick it out, but that's a decision I think that might be on a week-to-week basis. And, Washington, I don't know if it really learned anything about itself, to be quite honest, guys. Probably learn a lot more Thursday night at Kingston against Marion.
What did they bring any sophomores up to the varsity, or was it just the 21 juniors and seniors?
No, it was just 21 juniors and seniors and, sophomore team. The game did not go or kind of went similarly, quite honestly, with Washington winning by a long way. And the freshman game, however, Jefferson was able to win on, I think they played Thursday night. So I think that's the class that, everyone over there kind of wants to really build with. And they want to kind of keep that class together and keep, you don't want guys to get injured, right? So you're not gonna throw kids that physically are not able to play varsity football. You're just not going to throw those kids into the mix, especially against a 5A schedule like Jefferson has.
You'd be better off just to take your lumps this year and keep that group together and hopefully keep them healthy, keep them energized and interested, and maybe better things will come here in 2 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, it's not an easy situation. I mean, guys, we all know it. And I think there's, again, as we've kind of talked amongst ourselves, it's a complex issue, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors that are going into this. It's something that is going to take a lot of hard work by a lot of people, in my opinion, to get this turned around at Jefferson and to get kids wanting to go out and play football and to be a representative program.
And probably the first item of business is just to keep them there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we saw, unfortunately, a handful of kids or so that decided that it was better for them to move on to other schools. Quite frankly, I think there were some kids that just decided to stay at Jefferson and just not play football this year. So, like I said, it's really a difficult situation. And, you feel for the kids. And quite frankly, I personally feel a ton of admiration for those 21 kids. I mean, they played their butts off, as one, Wash coach Mo Blue said after the game. There's just the fact that there were only 21 of them, and by the fourth quarter, those kids were dog tired, and but give them a ton of credit, for the 21 that did play and participate. I think these are great life lessons for those boys, and they know it's not easy, and it's not going to be. They shouldn't be judged on wins and losses. But they're participating, and that's going to be good for them further on in life. Quite frankly, beyond football.
I don't know what you guys think, and I know I texted this the other day, but it wasn't long ago that Jefferson had a really good, a very competitive team. They were 7-4. I don't know if it was 15, 16, 17, one of those years. Got to the quarters, played Washington tough in that quarterfinal game, and really wasn't that far from getting to the Dome. So it can be done, but it's going to be difficult.
Sure. And I think if you look at the situation, quite frankly, we talk about the three public schools in town. I mean, it's not an easy gig at Washington anymore either, when you look at such a dwindling enrollment, right? But that program, has continued to kind of go along here and have success. It's in a lower class now, which is just crazy and I know KJ as a football alum at Wash. I mean, that just must. It's hard to believe, isn't it, Pilcher? They're not in the biggest class, right? So.
Right. It's one of the things too that you kind of have to look at. Maybe it was a little bit more apparent, in 2008 with the floods. But between the flood, then things were built up a little bit. But then last August, I mean, you really can't overlook the impact that the derecho had on a lot of people, and especially those within, those public school districts. I know living in the Jefferson district, there are a lot of displaced people and a lot of people that had to move because of that. not saying that has a direct impact, but that might have a little bit to do as far as numbers go, whether some kids are available or even want to do stuff like that right now. It does, not only is Washington not in the biggest class, kind of a shock, but, this is too, given, I remember playing against one of Jefferson's best teams, in 92. We all know about, the history they had, decades ago. And you mentioned Brian Webb's team that made the playoffs back-to-back years and made the quarterfinals. It's just kind of surprising that there isn't a bigger group of kids, because they would have been there to witness that as junior highs. And we all know that success can really invigorate a program and put some energy and excitement into kids coming up, because they see that they want to be like those guys. It just hasn't happened for Jefferson, and it's kind of a shock what really has kind of gone on with those two Cedar Rapids schools.
Just kind of looking throughout the rest of the Metro, Linn-Mar was a big winner, 41-0 over. I'm sorry, 63-14 over Liberty. City High beat Liberty 41-0. The game that really showed me something, the team that really showed me something, was Prairie. They were without a lot of kids for various reasons, and beat Pleasant Valley, which made the semis last year, 27-21. And that really showed me that they might have something really good out there.
Yeah, and you have to consider that, the kids, the multiple starters that were out for violation of school policy, they're going to be back for game 4 and beyond. So when you can take, a team that was missing so many important guys, and like you said, Jeff, beat a good Pleasant Valley team that was in the semifinals last year. That's really quite a statement win. And the numbers out there, I think they were in the maybe the low 70s overall as far as the number of kids. So out of depth, obviously, and I mean that's such a tough prepare for anybody, as we've talked about, ad nauseum with the single wing and everything. So yeah, I mean that's a statement win in a tough situation for Prairie.
I think if you look at the score, they or the stats. I mean, Brandon Blicko, he was somebody that joined the program last year. He had the reins at quarterback. Trey Peterson led them in receiving, but it was Mikkel Taylor, a junior, that rushed for 136 yards and 3 TDs. So obviously they have some strong talent there. But like you said, losing that many starters, and being able to get a quality win like that. JJ, and you highlighted it with week 4, everybody coming in. You've got Dubuque Senior, which is a winnable game. Cedar Falls, which will be a tough one. We've talked about Bettendorf, the situation they're at right now. That's the first game where you might have everybody together and have that depth. And I tell you what, it very well could make them a stronger unit. When they get into October and they're facing Southeast Polk, Iowa City West, Linn-Mar to close out the season. So it'll be interesting to see how this might even make them a stronger team overall, despite what's gone on here to start.
How good do you think both Linn-Mar and City High are? I think they both might be pretty good.
Definitely improved, right? And I think the proof's in the pudding, obviously, as the old cliche goes. But I think I don't know if breath of fresh air is maybe that's the right way to put it when you look at coaching changes there, and and Mitchell Moore at City High, who's a very enthusiastic guy. Not to say that the legendary Dan Sabers wasn't that way too, but and then Tim Lovell, as we know, going over from Marion to Linn-Mar. So sometimes a change in coaching may just kind of changes things in the program, right? And maybe gets kids a little more enthused or things like that. So, the immediate dividends are very obvious for both schools. And, we'll see. Not proclaiming that both teams are going 9-0 or anything, but, great start. I mean, that's momentum you need, right, boys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things I was impressed with Mitch Moore, he didn't want to sell these current seniors short. It would have been really easy to say, hey, we're going to build and look forward to the future a little bit. This is my first year. We'll take our lumps. He really worked hard to get this team up and rolling so they can have immediate success. Now, I still need to find out, Iowa City Liberty is under a first-year coach as well. So it's hard to tell really what both teams' opponents were like. I think some tests will come later on to see where they're really at. But I really like the fact that Mitch Moore was like, hey, these guys have been devoted to the program. We're going to do whatever we can to, let them finish off with some success. And, good start there as well. And the thing that stands out really about City High, throw last year out. Really? Last year was so screwy and weird. Throw last year out. They had 2 losing seasons, but I think the season before that, they were like 9-3, 8-4. They're not that far removed from actually, being a very good program.
Right.
A very good team. However, the 3 years being down seems like an eternity for a program like Iowa City High.
Yeah.
But, look what, Mitch Moore, Tim Lovell, and even Matt Hattie with Clear Creek Amana, all 3 of them getting wins. Impressive wins week 1. That says a lot about each of their programs kind of being on the way up.
Yeah. Just the last 2 Metro Iowa City games we hadn't touched on. You started 2 there. Clear Creek Amana beat Marion 36-35. I think there was a late block punt that figured in prominently with that outcome. And Regina under Jason Dumont, another first-year guy, beat West Liberty. I'm sorry, they beat Williamsburg 16-14.
Yeah, Regina. I mean, I'm not surprised by Regina. I mean, it's a new head coach technically, but it's the same staff minus Marv Cook, right? So, and the talent level there is always good, certainly. And congrats to Coach Hattie for that win. That was a game that I think Marion felt like probably let get away a little bit. It is what it is. That's another cliche, but it's true. And Clear Creek Amana made a couple plays there, as you mentioned. And one on special teams that ended up turning that game. And it'll be interesting to see if that propels both schools moving forward. Certainly, I think Regina is another really good team, and Clear Creek Amana is in a tough district in 4A, and interested to see how Marion kind of rebounds, again Thursday night from that disappointment.
One thing I'll say about Regina, well, I guess a couple things about Regina and Williamsburg. One, I don't think it's any secret to know that Marv Cook delegated a lot of stuff to Jason Dumont and Ed Hinkle. Obviously, the buck stopped with Cook, and he was the overseer. But those 2 There's not going to be a lot of change as far as what Regina does and how they do it. So I don't think the transition was too bad there. Obviously, the roles are still the same with those two those two guys leading the way. They had a lot of line experience back, which is invaluable, especially at the lower classes, to have that type of experience up front, because if you don't have that as good as skill guys as you think you have, they're not going to be as good. So that's a huge thing for Regina this year, having that experience and a good line up front. The second thing with Williamsburg, I'm just going to tell you, they had Regina week 1. They have Van Meter this week. Remember a couple years ago where they had like Regina or Solon and Western Dubuque when they won the state title, and they started like 1-4 or 0-3, something like that, and then they came on like gangbusters because they got into district play and just rolled. I would not be surprised if we see that out of Williamsburg this year, where their early season schedule is stacked, and it might seem like, oh, this is a down year for them, and then when they get into their 2A district play and postseason, I won't be surprised if they roll.
They're going to win.
Yeah, Solon in week 3, I think I saw too, right, Pilch? Holy cow!
yeah, right. So that's they're not afraid, and they'll be battle tested. I know that's such a goofy term, but it's going to be the case for them, I think, as the season goes. Especially when it was a 16-14 game with Regina. And
outside Metro, out in the area. Who surprised you? Who might be better? Who might be kind of a sneaky good team that we might not have had on our radar at the beginning of the season?
Oh, go ahead, KJ.
Well, I tell you, first of all, I was surprised with a few of the results. Linder, I think in our 4 downs take that you can see at the Gazette.com, you mentioned how Waverly Shell Rock really handled Waukon. I think on both ends there that Waverly Shell Rock is better than expected. But Waukon kind of uncharacteristic of them. Iowa Valley, I don't know. There's something, I mentioned them, but they beat BGM. I think BGM's a good 8-player team. They, for Montezuma results go, they hung tough with Montezuma.
It was 30-18 at halftime before Montezuma really got away in the third quarter.
Yeah, so I think Iowa Valley could be a team. The only problem is, you've got Montezuma. Easton Valley was exceptional this first week. Don Bosco, I think Lone Tree's 2-0 right now. And BGM is still there. They could be sneaky good, but it's going to be tough for anybody when it comes to the postseason. Yeah. And Dyersville Beckman is the one that really, I think, stands out, though, now that I think about it. Their win over, was it Comanche? Yeah. I thought Comanche was going to be a good team in 2A, and Dyersville Beckman doubled them up 28-14, I think. So I think Coach Atwater has a good product up there, and that could be a fun team to keep an eye on.
Yeah. A few teams I kind of circled. Hammered West Burlington Notre Dame 55-13. I think we're going to learn a lot more about them this week. They go over to Sigourney Keota for a game. And Sigourney Keota had to come from behind to beat Durant. So maybe that's going to be a competitive game. Clayton Ridge. I know Postville's been a struggling program, but 58-8, and again, they got a toughie this week against MFL. We'll see kind of where they fit in up there. Northland put it to Albernette last week. They play East Buchanan in another border game. And North Fayette Valley took down South Wind 7-0. So maybe North Fayette Valley's back a little bit. So anything really catch your attention?
Sorry, I was just going to mention Decorah. Really, that's they lost obviously a ton of guys, but 41-14. Anytime you beat Crestwood 41-14, that's a pretty impressive win as well.
You guys want to talk about this week, or what's on your minds?
Well, what are some of the games you guys are looking forward to? I know, Lindy, you're heading up to Manchester on Friday. Is that the number one game really in our area with West Delaware and Xavier?
I think so. I think that's going to be, talk about physical and all that. That's going to be every bit of physical. I think that's going to be a really good game. I think that's going to be as good as anything in the area. I think Independence Clear Creek's going to be a good game. And then we've got Solon Mount Vernon. And that's always, interesting. Mid Prairie Sigourney, I mentioned. MFL Clayton Ridge, Northland East Buchanan. The good area games. We've already talked a little bit about the stuff that's going on within the corridor.
Sorry, that was my sister that just wanted to say hi, guys. So KJ knows her. They're fellow graduates from Wash in what year was that? 1960 what, KJ?
Yeah. 93, and I believe that was a decade after you almost. Hi, Stacy. So make all the jokes you want. You're still older, buddy.
Every day, buddy. I feel it.
Before we talk about anything else, you notice that, JJ?
Did you guys mention West Branch Waterloo Columbus? I think is a game that Jeff. Did you mention that one? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out on me there for a second. Yeah, that's one that really catches my eye.
JJ, do you want to acknowledge my Kraken?
He's representing. God bless you.
I did that just for you.
Well, I appreciate it, kind of. As a diehard St. Louis Blues fan, but I'm glad you're coming around to hockey. That's all I know, Pilch. So
we'll see. We'll see how the experiment goes.
So where are you guys going to be this week? KJ, you've got 2 this weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Marion versus Cedar Rapids, Washington game at Kingston on Thursday. So you can follow me at KJ Pilcher for that. That'll be interesting to see how Marion rebounds from Clear Creek Amana and maybe a better test for Washington, as we said earlier. And then Friday, I'm going to be at Lidmar with the Lions hosting Iowa City Liberty. So that's another one where you have Lidmar coming off a really lopsided victory in week 1, and Liberty looking to bounce back after that Iowa City high loss.
Yeah, Lindy, I'll be at Kingston for Kennedy and Bettendorf. Real curious to watch the Cougars play. You got that honor last week, so yeah, we'll see. I think Kennedy's a pretty good football team. You can certainly answer that. So looking forward to seeing the Cougars.
All right. Like I said, I'll be at Manchester for the Hawks and the Saints, and that'll take care of week 2. Any other closing comments?
Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on IowaPrepSports.com Friday night. We've Nathan Ford's doing a really good job with getting some game reports up there. We're doing some video, trying to do a lot of little different things. So check that out Friday night after the games are over on IowaPrepSports.com.
One other thing I'd like to add in and piggyback on what Jeff said. For those out there, especially subscribers to the Gazette, make sure you access the Green Gazette online. That's where you're going to see a lot of our game stories that aren't in the print edition, but we are making an effort to have them readily available through the Green Gazette online as well. And make sure, a lot of things, we're still dedicated to our Football Rewind that'll be in Sunday's print edition. That'll include standings, usually a notebook or stories from Friday that we're following up on. So we're still going to have a lot of coverage and a lot of timely coverage for individuals. It's just going to be just kind of a different version of it.
Yep. We're our deadlines have changed, but our commitment hasn't, and we're not going anywhere. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching, and enjoy your Friday night or Thursday night games, and see you this weekend.
Keep your head on a swivel, guys.